You don't need a full-time team to scale your business. In this video, I'm going to show you how to buy back your time and utilize a tool like Upwork to get some meaningful work done in your business on a per project basis. One of the questions we get asked all the time, and actually I'm reading one right here from a recent video, is what do you look for in a VA, meaning hiring a virtual assistant? And so there's a lot of demographic specific things we're looking for, value alignment, skill set, certain things of that nature. But I would say the first thing is to identify what are the actual needs in the business. And I would probably guess to say for many of you watching, going on a per project basis probably makes the most sense. I'll give you a scenario. I'll talk about a situation that we encountered. We used to employ a full-time video editor, and that's all that person did. And the reality is that life as a business owner gets busy. We're servicing clients, where we're running a membership, we're doing all the marketing, we're running ads, all the things, right, that go into actually running a successful company, online or offline. And the editor, sometimes we would have a month where we're like, oof, we didn't really create YouTube content. There was really nothing to edit. And yet the salary and the compensation for paying that person full time was not flushed down the toilet, but we didn't utilize or maximize that at all. And so you just want to make sure if you're going to hire somebody full time as a VA, you've got full time, because you're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself. And maybe you need that accountability, and so that's totally up to you. But one of the things that we started doing was going on a per project basis, and that's where a tool like Upwork I think is going to be absolutely tremendous for you, and something we use as well, depending on what it is you're actually specifically looking for. And I'm going to give you a use case here that we utilize all the time, and we're going to walk through that. I'm going to give you guys how I would look for somebody, the way that I look for talent and what I'm watching for, how I'm reading it, what I'm trying to get as far as deliverables. And then on the back end, what we're going to do is we're going to pause and mow this video. We're going to submit something to have them edit it, and they're going to have it sent back, and I can show you guys the finished product. All right, guys, and quick break. Before we go any further, I do want to let you know as a disclaimer, this video is sponsored by Upwork. Now, if you know anything about the history of our channel, very rarely do we accept any sort of endorsements or sponsorship type deals or brand deals. And so if we do that, it's something that we really know and trust. And so we have used Upwork. It's been some time, candidly, because we've got a full-time team, and so we haven't really needed it. But like I mentioned, we are in a transitional season here where we are using it right now, and Upwork just happened to reach out, and I was like, oh, perfect timing. I'm getting ready to use this anyways. And so that's how this came to be. But as a disclaimer, because I'm required to do, this video is sponsored by Upwork. Let's get back to the content. All right, guys. So the first thing you want to make sure you're doing, and there's actually some new AI tools that they're incorporating, which I think is really cool in Upwork. But the first thing you want to think about is being very clear. You want to make sure that whether you're going to do a posting or you're searching for something, you're being very clear about what you're looking for, specifically what that task entails. It's going to help you with finding the right talent, but it's also going to help you with your actual budget. And so you may find that you have a go-to person you come back to, or you may find, like for me, for example, when I started my podcast, I just had a professional intro done where I just did like a podcast intro. And then, you know, the parameters that I gave it, I was able to sort through and find the person I was looking for. And the way that I did it was I actually went to search the talent on my own. So you can actually post a job, which is great. If you just want to put the specifics, it'll actually put that out into the ether, and then people will be able to say, based off those specifications, they'll be able to get in contact with you about that. But keep in mind, again, specificity. You want to make sure that the message you're putting out there is clear about what you're looking for, and so you get the most aligned talent for your specific request. So let's go to a post a job first and figure out what that looks like. So you can either use their AI, which I actually did do, that was interesting, but let's do it without the AI for now. So write a title for your job post. So we want to say, I'm going to do this specifically, thumbnail editor. Now more than ever, guys, creating really appealing thumbnails and titles, if you're going to do YouTube, it's like absolutely critical, because there's so much content being consumed that it's not going to stand out. And if you don't get that high CTR in your title and thumbnail, your video is just not going to perform. You're going to have 12 views. You're going to be disappointed. And then you're going to just write off YouTube and never do a YouTube video again. So part of that is getting people to watch. It's like a television show. If nobody goes to the channel to watch the show, well, they don't know how good the content is because nobody watched it. So it's like the book cover or the movie trailer or whatever for what you're looking for. So let's do this. We're going to do thumbnail, write a job title for a thumbnail editor. Okay, then you're going to say, again, specifications, right? So do you want this to be like the super fancy pants? Do you want this to go really nuts? Or what are we looking for here? So we're going to go with Photoshop, probably some graphic design. We're going to go to image editing, probably need to edit the image for it. Photo retouching probably is something you're going to really want. And I love how this is really guided, because you might feel like I just a thumbnail editor. And some of these things, like photo correction, color correction rather, you might not have thought about that. So some of this you might want to make sure that you're selecting, but you may not have thought about it, right? So I've selected 5 categories here, and I may have not thought about those. So I think it helps you get really specific. And maybe we can do a follow-up video at a later point in time where we actually do the AI feature as well and see how different that is versus this manual process here. All right, so I think we got enough categories. Let's see what we get here. Scope. Okay, this is gonna be a simple, straightforward, like a logo for a new project, a rebrand package, so larger, like your whole brand kit basically going on here, and then longer term, right? So it's gonna be like a pretty significant lift here. So it does have categories as far as what you're asking for this specific thing. We're probably just gonna say small request. How long will your work take? Less than a month. In a lot of these situations, you're gonna want something pretty quick. And this is probably where my guess would be the AI tool is probably gonna help figure that out. A lot of what I'm seeing with all these platforms is there's like an AI assistance. And so based off of what you input, it's gonna make recommendations to you. And so that's my guess as far as what that would include. It would definitely be worth trying out if you weren't sure on some of these things that you're looking for. So let's say we've got an intermediate. We don't need a super pro. We're not running a multi-million subscriber channel here. We're not Mr. Beast. And then you could say, hey, could this be a full-time thing? Or no, not at this time. I personally like this option a lot. And so you might be in like a revenue situation where you've got some like things you're working on that might become revenue generating. And so, hey, like you might as well build some cadence with this person and build some rapport, and then it can become something. But then for us, right, the reason I'm choosing thumbnail specifically is because we do have a real situation that we are going to use Upwork for, and that's to provide a temporary person for us, for our amazing general virtual assistant that does the video edit. I mean, she does so many things behind the scenes. VA extraordinaire Belle is going on maternity leave in October. And so I'm going to need a temporary person to fill that gap. And I'm not going to hire somebody and then be like, sorry, you're fired, because obviously Belle's coming back at some point. So for us, it would be no, not at this time. Maybe I just find somebody they're not looking for full time. They just like the freelance nature. But I like that you have both of those options. So this gives you the ability to be like, hey, let me reconsider some of this. You can edit and change it. If you're like, no, actually, I'm going to kind of change my mind on that. So you can review what you've selected thus far. All right, next, location. So I've personally worked with both. I've worked with US and I've worked with international. Candidly, the best use case, I think, for worldwide is you're probably going to get a better price. I haven't found there to be a massive language barrier when I've used international in the past. It does vary. We've worked with people in Romania. Like I mentioned, we've worked with people in the Philippines. I've worked with people all over the place. There was one specific situation where I had a creative that I was working on, and we went back and forth, and it felt like we weren't really, it was maybe just difficult to explain what I was going. It could have been more me than him. I don't know. But that's the only one experience I can think where worldwide was a little bit of a hiccup. So just know there might be a language barrier, but I have found that most of them, in fact, in their profile, it's going to tell you their level of sophistication when it comes to English or whatever language you speak. It's going to let you know. Are they just conversational? Are they so their proficiency will be demonstrated on their profiles, but that doesn't mean that they'll have context. That doesn't, like, if you have something that requires some cultural context, or maybe you're speaking in a term that's like more slang and less formal with that person. So you just kind of want to be mindful with your communication in those dealings. So for the sake of what we're doing here, we're going to choose worldwide. That's what I've done in the past. And I probably would never limit it to just US only unless it was like something like really sophisticated and I've never had that happen before. So I'm going to use with what I would normally do, which is worldwide. You can't add specific regions. So if there are regions that you're like, hey, like I've had a really good experience in wherever, right? And you can click those as well. So I like that additional filtering option. I think that's a really smart ability to have that filtering feature there. Here, and you may not know, but I do that they tell you, like, this is what you're probably looking at hourly, or if you've got a fixed price, you can choose that as well. Again, keeping in mind, you may not know what that should be, but you may want to control your costs and be like, I don't want to trust that, like, you're just going to say, sure, $15 an hour. But I've had situations, not all, but I've had situations where it's better for me to choose a fixed price, candidly, than video editors where they tell me they put 45 hours into a basic edit, not on Upwork, but I've had situations where somebody pitched me on Instagram. And this may be one of the biggest benefits and appeals, I think, of Upwork, by the way. I wasn't intending to bring this up, but if you get pitched by somebody in your DMs, I said this with Rover, I've said this with Airbnb, I've said this with a lot of different things. Like, you have the protection of the company there. Like, we went out of town and traveled and we hired a Rover person. I'm not like throwing shade here, but we hired a rover person, and then she was like, hey, next time, like, I'll just do it on the side. And it's, do you have insurance? What happens if something goes wrong? What if you forget to, like, you actually burn my place down when I'm gone? What if my dog gets out and gets hit by a car? Like, I don't have any protections there. And so at least within the Upwork environment, similar to that experience, right? Like, you have that protection. Uber has your back. In fact, if your Uber driver has like lower than what was required, and I think they require them to have a pretty significant insurance, but in every situation, my guess would be it's going to flow. Uber is going to be the one that steps in more than likely if you incur some kind of serious damages, whether you were driving and you got hit by an Uber driver or you were actually in the Uber car itself. So again, I think it's in your best interest to go through something like this. You may end up paying a little bit more. You may get that like sweet deal that you got through your DMs from somebody. And I'm not discouraging freelancing and the hustle. I totally respect and appreciate that people do that. But I have had situations where a guy comes back and wasn't tracking his time, but told me it took 45 hours, and I end up paying more for a basic edit than I would if I had just gone through Upwork. Seriously, that's happened. For me, if I didn't know for sure what this should cost, I was a little bit new, I would probably choose the hourly rate, and then I would be really clear on what my expectations were. Like, I don't want you to spend 5 hours on this. Like, I just need you to spend a couple hours on it, and that's my expectation. So make sure that you have those conversations. If you do decide to go fixed price, be like, I can't spend more than $75 on this, and you may get something that looks not great, and you're like, brr. So again, gauge whatever it is you're specifically doing. For something like a thumbnail, I'd probably just do hourly and be like, it might cost me $50. Okay, so let's say this. We're going to say, I already have a description, paste it here. Okay, so I actually, and this is a benefit, I think, of using things like ChatGPT or tell it the nature of what you're looking for. So this gave me a full description here. I'm actually going to pull it over so you can see what it says. It actually turned out really cool. So it says, YouTube thumbnail designer for engaging clickable thumbnails. So that would have been the description that we used if I went back, right? It was better than what I wrote. I just came up with like thumbnail editor, right? This was actually way better. So I would have gone back and probably added that description. And this is where we would fill this in. Hi there. I'm looking for blah, blah, blah. To apply, please send it 2 to 3 thumbnails you designed. Thanks so much. So I'll provide the video title, a photo of me, key messages, pretty clear, right? All the things we're looking for. One thumbnail is a paid test project. I'm just bouncing around as I scan through this here. So let's grab this since we already explained to ChatGPT what we were looking for. And then we're going to go boom. And then you can attach a file. So I'm going to do that as well. So we got that, and we're about to attach this file. Interesting. Like, you can do like up to almost 50,000 characters. I'm pretty sure they might be a little bit, somebody might get a little bit frustrated with that level of description. But you can do all 50,000 characters of your description, what you're looking for. Really good here. Clear expectations, as we talked about, of your task and the deliverables, the skills required for the work, good communication, and details about how your team would like to do to work. We probably covered all that. I think we're pretty descriptive with what ChatGPT came up with. And I do this actually, that they have like details, like what does that actually look like? And so if you needed that as a resource, yeah, it looks like you can go through all of this, which is an interesting resource. So good to know. What we typically do, and I actually had this pulled up just now. So this is a zip file, and it gives them options, right? So like we have different pictures, like action shots, and then we have some poses that we can use. We have a logo. This was specifically a Trello video for project management. So we tend to button up a lot of things like that and just put it in a zip file, and that way they have some options. Like, you don't want to be like, hey, I'm sending you one really crappy pixelated picture. Good luck, bro. So that probably isn't the way to go. So yeah, anything you can do, whether it's snapshots from your actual video, if you want an action shot, or what I typically do is like a pro tip. But if I record a YouTube video, I just move my camera, or my microphone rather, and I hold that pose for a minute, and then that could be your snapshot. So like a little bit of a pro tip, because I think some people, what they're doing for thumbnails is they're like actually like getting out like a camera, like making this really fancy thing. It's no, like if your camera is great, you can just take a snapshot. Turns out pretty good. So I would do that. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to upload the zip file, which we should be able to do. And it was called Kim Thumbnail Video. Sweet. All right. So we're going to review the job post. We didn't use all of our 48 or 50,000 characters, but maybe next time. What happens after you post? You receive a proposal, and you can invite talent to your job. No charges until you hire. That's really important to know. You're not going to pay anything until you actually hire somebody. So that's really good. And you have the opportunity to work through the process with that. All right, our post is now live. So that's if you want to put out feelers to see if people come to you. So that's one way to go about doing it if you just want to post a job. And then you can actually, which is great, but you can actually choose people that like have relevant skills. And again, we picked all those things. And so it's important that you did that, meaning those different skill sets, because it's going to populate based off of those selections, right? So this actually tells you quick glance of what their skills are. So color correction has 15 relevant skills, right? So that's good. It'll tell me like, have you done this before? Like Kevin G, have you done this before? This guy's US based, which is cool. You can see that. He boosted, which means he's actually spending money. I appreciate that hustle. Like I appreciate that you're investing in this. That's great. So photo editing software, photo manipulation, resizing, photo retouching, project management, project resolution, digital media, like bro's got skills, right? So let's check them out. Hours per week, more than 30 hours per week, open to contract hire. So you could become a long-term thing with this person. English, native, he's in Milford. I wonder if it's Milford, Ohio. I'm an Ohio guy, bro. Hit me up. This is good to see the verifications, right? And then also some educational background stuff. So I like to look at this personally. And I love that they have this here, by the way. Like, I think it's great. So top rated, I think that's awesome. 100% job success. So that's good. But also, meaning like they didn't bail. Like so the percentage of freelancer jobs that resulted in a great client experience. That's awesome. Like he's batting 1,000, right? He's good. A little bit of a bio about them you can read, right? Weddings, AI photo generation, AI photo realism, portrait photos. You may want to see something that says YouTube thumbs because it's a different ballgame, right? Like he has all the skills. I'm not discrediting his skills. Now I'm giving him like a little promo here. Check out Kevin G, guys. But may not be in the YouTube category, right? So like I don't see anything that says YouTube specifically. It is a different ballgame. But you can actually see even like some of the stuff he's done. So some product shots, some close-ups, like really good stuff. If I didn't employment history, if I didn't use him for this specifically, I would be like, hey, like I would keep this guy in mind in the future, which is great because I can share that with the rest of the team. And there's actually a link. Oh, that's just the clipboard. What is that? Let's see what that is. I've never done this before. This specific feature I've never done before. I'm just curious to see what it does. Okay, it just pulls up the full. So this is what I was actually looking for. I'm glad this is here, but to star this guy, or heart him rather. So if you ever came back, it shows you how much he's made. This is actually more expansive than the other one. I actually like this view a lot. If I were Upwork, I would probably have that a little bit more obvious as to what that was. Like how you have like the accordion where you can click and it'll pull out or pull back. I would probably do more of an accordion because I didn't know what that was. I had to click a separate link to do that. I don't know, just a thought. It would have, again, I've never used that feature, but I am more accustomed to this. I have been at this particular page on people. I like that it says available, that they're available now. That's going to give me some parameters as far as my expectations. Like, it's not going to be 2 months. Like, this guy's available now and he's good. Response time is less than 24 hours. I do that a lot. I do that. It tells you like if they're slipping, right, and it takes them a while, and you need something, make sure it says within 24 hours response. Because if they're not responding on time, like it's taking them more than 24 hours to respond, how fast do you think you're going to do your project? So I find that very valuable. Personally, I think that's a really solid value proposition when they have gotten that part. So I would probably say, sweet, let me add this guy to list name, be like photo G's. How would you describe this? And then we could just say great guys with photo or great people for photos, right? And then boom, you've got that for future reference. So I may not hire this guy specifically for that because I don't see that YouTube specific aspect. But let's see if there's anybody specializing in retouching, graphic design, photo, Adobe Illustrator. It's Kevin G again. Retouching graphic designer, top rated at Upwork. I'm not seeing any skills immediately that show. Now keep in mind, it's not going to say YouTube specifically under skills. So you would have to go through and see if that's something they have listed on their profile. Here we go. YouTube thumbnail designer, $30 an hour. Perfect. So for me, in terms of relevancy, I would probably start with something like that. So let's see what he's done. See, I would like the accordion here to be like, bam, and just pull that up. So I have to go here, and then I have to go here. I don't know. To me, that's an extra step that's probably a little bit unnecessary. But that's just me. You may feel like I'm being petty. Maybe I'm being petty. So yeah, so English, native, or bilingual. So again, we talked about the worldwide stuff, did verify the ID, which is good. Response within 24 hours, which is good. He put a video of who he is, which I think is really great. I actually like that when people apply to work for us. I like when they put a video in addition to, some people build like a little website. So the guy asked about hiring VAs. I like when they do things to stand out. I like when they build a website for themselves. Now, keep in mind, a lot of those people are freelancers. Like they're trying, like they put it, the people that put in the extra work are the people that also freelance outside of the platform. I'm just telling you straight up. That's the way it is. But I appreciate the initiative that they do take. So yeah, this guy, hundreds of YouTubers over the past 5+ years, Look what I say. The packaging is the psychology. Like, you got to nail. CTR explodes. Dude, this guy gets it. I legit just talked about that. So this guy gets it. 94% job success. I don't think it's cause for concern, but I would like to see I like to see the 100. I think that's great. Stuff happens. There's the best restaurants I've ever been to have a 4.4, 4.6. And I'm like, are you crazy? How did you leave this less than a 5? Still top rated. And then you can see completed jobs. And dude, bro's got some projects. That would be a little bit concerning for me. Like, when am I going to get this? 2048? Like, when am I going to get this? Oh, these are ongoing. It looks like he's doing some ongoing stuff. Bro is cashing. I like it. I respect the hustle. I do. But there's some cause for concern there for me. Bro's got a lot of projects that look like they're all on a recurring basis. Let's see some of the stuff that he's done, because I bet you they're really good if he's done that many. Yeah, that's now these look AI generated, I'm not going to lie, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If he's using AI in some capacity with some of these are grabby for sure. Maybe not your cup of tea, and that's okay. But yeah, I think these are more AI generated. Maybe that was just for that specific project. Let me see if there's anything that's not AI that's just like more of like photo cleanup. Yeah, so this would be more of like your traditional. And I like that he's shown results. This is good. 8.3 is a good click-through rate. Anything above 5 is considered good, right? So that's a 6. I would say under 5, you want to redo it. That would be my suggestion, or tweak it in some way. This is pushing that. I'd say 4 to 6 range. It gets debatable. And then I would say 6 to 8 is like above average to good. And then 8 to 10 is like good to great. And 10 plus, let it rip. It's going to hit the algo for sure. So like this one, probably wouldn't have put that up there because, yeah, it looks okay, but that would be a little bit lagging in my opinion. Not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just, it's sub-average. It's a little bit in the average category, or a little bit slightly below. Now, some of this, again, skill-wise, I'm just telling you how I think about this. This has nothing really to do with the thumbnail, the watch time. That has more to do with the content. So I would be more just showing the impression click-through rate, because that's really, now they could have titled it like boo-boo, and then that's why it's not doing well. It doesn't have all to do with the thumbnail, but some of these have less to do with probably what he's doing to some degree. But still, it's a part of the equation, right? And like I said, if you can't get people to watch the show, how do they know the content's good? So yeah, so some of this I would really clarify, this is what I'm looking for. I don't want AI generated unless that's your game. But I would be like, hey, I want these, right? And be really specific about that. If you're going to hire this guy, you can invite to a job, or you can just hire him right there, right? So we're going to probably consider this guy. I'll do that off camera. I don't want you guys to sit here and have to watch through my entire thought process through this. So that's the process of posting a job, and then the post aspect of looking at some of the recommended people. So let's go to the search for talent. Sorry, my allergies. Top rated search and SEO. And then what we're going to do is we're going to type in YouTube. See, it already comes up with things that people have searched before, so don't reinvent the wheel. And then what I like, and this is what I'm more familiar with, I usually go this route versus the post, just candidly. Let's say we're going to do the same parameters, like 10 to 30. And then I like this, right? So top rated plus and top rated would probably be what I would do. And then we're going to do YouTube marketing. Maybe not the YouTube marketing. That might be not what we're looking for. But those two specific, I think, might be okay. Location, time zone, agencies. I would say, let's see. Usually I would just do freelancers, to be candid. Open to contract to hire. Okay. Anyways, I do some of these. Oh, this breaks my heart. I'm actually a Mavs fan, and they traded Luka, and this guy's I can't even go there. I can't do it. I'm kidding. So 94%, 100% success. I wonder what the advanced search propagates. Yeah, so you can actually do some more advanced searching if you wanted to, which again is a game, right? It's that curation aspect, which I'm assuming is part of what the AI does now. That's all what AI is, curation, right? People look at it like it's some kind of like generative digital god. It really is just curation of things that already exist on the web. Really important to know that, by the way. 100%. Okay. Nah, I don't, like, what are we doing here? Okay, yeah, these are good. I would have probably led with maybe one of these versus what he did lead with on this. This doesn't tell me a whole lot. Portugal, 100%, 50,000 earned. That's great. Offers consultations, which that's interesting. Probably why I put in the YouTube marketing, because he's actually giving you strategy. YouTube expert, 6+ years. Let's see. So channel expert. Mi gente. View full profile. See, that's what I wanted in the other one, the hire to clipboard one. I just wanted to be able to like, bam. That's what I wanted. Okay. If your business has no visibility, okay, I dig. So English, verified English, I guess they call bro. Associated with fast forward media. Okay, so rising talent. which this might be his actual agency. He might be starting an agency. That's my guess. I'm totally assuming here. Social media strategy, 100% available now. $30 an hour. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. People might be like, $30 an hour. No, I think that's fair for what we're doing specifically here. Work history, in progress 11, fixed price, $12.50 fixed price. It does give you an idea on pricing, right? Channel collaboration, $2,000, $3,000, $15,000. Some of this looks like it's more growth strategy related versus creating things. But just to give you an idea, like it's going to tell you, and I love that about Upwork because it's transparent. So there's no surprises. You're not going to hire a bro off of Instagram, like the one I said, where he's, yeah, it took 45 hours. I'm like, what? So you get an idea, right? So I would find one specifically, and it doesn't look like he's doing a lot of thumbnails. So these are recent jobs, right? I assume these are in the order of completion. And it looks like he's doing a lot of consultations. So titles, thumbnail, and copy specific for YouTube, but 21 videos for $1,000. Reverse engineer the math on that. That's going to end up being a pretty good price for you. Fixed price, right? So this guy can negotiate quite a few for you. But it does look like he's trending more in like the actual like consulting aspect versus like actually doing some of these for you. That might be my only reservation about him. So let's save and we'll go to YouTube G's. I don't know. I'm in a mood. So YouTube G's, and then we're gonna go back to here, YouTube SEO marketing, video and thumbnail. Okay, $10. Wow. Okay, so let's get the other end of this. Let's see the difference between a 10 and a 30. Usually it's pretty much location or experience related. That's what I have found. A lot of jobs here. That's great. 97 success. I think that's great. Top rated. That's great. Associated with a media company. Response time less than 24 hours. So I think it's great. Video analytics, I think that's good. She's showing some analytics. Let's see what she did. I like when you're willing to do an intro for yourself. Let's see. Show me that CTR. Where you at? Nope. Show me the CTR. I like that person made 20 grand on that video. That's great. But I want to see your major contribution to that. Go to engagement. For those that are wondering, so there are some metrics you're looking for. Here we go. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. 7.9. That's good. That's really good. So that alone in that area will start getting close to hitting the algo. 10 minutes of watch time, 50% of the actual video that they watched. That's also a good one to look for. And a little emerging like a little YouTube lesson here. Was I'm going to do what I needed. Good at what she does is not matching what I need. Show the style I did before. So they left a 5-star, but they did say, right? And then they left the earnings private. I would like for that to be transparent. I'll be candid. That would give me some cause for concern a little bit. There's 330 jobs completed, and there is a 97% success. I think that's great. Did I see a portfolio, though? Yeah, here we go. Portfolio, I think that's a good thumbnail. That's a pretty good thumbnail. Maybe not your cup of tea, but definitely a decent thumbnail. Let me see another one. So some Pinterest stuff here. YouTube marketing, number 1. Okay, this is not the thumbnail game. Okay, so I don't see like a ton, but keep in mind, this is the $10 an hour option. And I do think that there's some design skill here for sure. And I would definitely consider this as an option for sure, specifically with that one CTR that was pretty high. I would like to see the actual thumbnail that was relating to that. And I didn't see that. I don't think that was there in that video unless I missed it. Did she show the thumb? Show me the finished product, not just show me the product. Yeah, so I would have shown it. That would be a slight cause for concern for me. But 4,000 hours worked. I think that's all well and good. So again, I will find the one that best matches me. The AI feature, again, if we do a follow-up video, I'm going to see how much faster that is to like actually get to find the right person. My guess is it's going to be substantial. But yeah, for any of these, you can share with your team. You can heart it like I did before. So let's say we add this person to the YouTube G's as well. And then boom, she's there. And then we're off to the races, right? So basically it's pretty simple, right? So you can look through here and see your contracts you have, right? The timesheets, which is great, as I mentioned before, right? So you can see like the updates on offers, posts and proposals, etc., and then your overall messages, right? So pretty simple as far as the menu. I just wanted to make sure I covered that before I checked out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause, and then I will select somebody, maybe a couple people we'll see, and then see what they come back with, and then I would let you know, hey, I think this is great, absolutely, definitely 5 out of 5 would recommend, and I'll let you know what the price ends up coming back in relation to like what I think is reasonable or just any of my thoughts on it, right? All right, we're going to pause here and then I'll see you guys when we get the finished result back. All right, guys, we are back. Let's check it out. I'm very happy with what came back here. I had quite a few people apply. I would say 19 or so people apply for the position, which was great. It gave me an opportunity to quickly browse through some of the available folks that were looking for a position per the post that I put in. I will say I ran into one problem. It's been some time since we've utilized, and so I don't know if this is new or if I did it wrong or whatever, but I don't remember running this issue in the past. But I had 18 proposals for this. Like I said, I thought it was like 18 or 19. View the proposals. But I want to let you know I did something that apparently was not the right way to do it. So we put in one-time project, right? We went through that together, but I selected hourly. And so when I submitted a contract, it actually submitted as though I was looking to hire somebody. You see here it says less than 30 hours a week. That's seemingly contradictory. So a little bit confusing there. I did speak with the person I ended up hiring, and she basically just said, in the future, put the fixed price. And then, but how would I know? Like, how many, like, I don't want to be disrespectful. Like, I can't say, hey, $20. And then she's, no, actually, this is going to cost 60 and you're insulting me. So that's why I submitted hourly, assuming that would be the case. They would bill me hourly, and I put one time. But it appeared to be that caused a little bit of confusion there. So maybe that's a user error on my part. Again, it's been some time, but I feel like that was confusing. And so as you're navigating that, just be cautious about that. The other thing too is if you go to this person's profile, and I'm going to talk about what I liked about her profile here in a second, but I found this to be a little bit confusing as well. It looks like Upwork is really trying to make sure that they're facilitating like ongoing work. And I appreciate that for these people. I really do. But you can see here, it said hire. Now, obviously, it would say rehire in this specific situation, but that's the whole like ongoing thing. And so what you would need to do is be like invite to job was what I actually did. But again, the nature of what I submitted as far as one time, but also hourly ongoing, it provided a little bit of conflict there. So I would love to see features like hire for the one-time invite to this specific job post versus the ongoing hiring nature. That, again, I found that pretty confusing, and I'm only assuming you would as well, especially if you're new to the platform. Okay, so that's that. But again, just be careful if you decide to utilize this tool. That was definitely something that I found confusing, and I've used this tool before. I can imagine if you were new, you'd probably find that difficult as well. Okay, so I ended up going with this person. Again, the things that I mentioned before, top rated, 100%. We're not going to cover that again. I like the fluent in English, specifically when you're going back and forth on thumbnails. Really important. But I also love this person really talked about things that I liked. So like up to 11.7% CTR gain, and she provided proof of that. She's contributed to 50 plus channels, 1,000 thumbnails designed. She also gave some analysis and recommendations to improve CTR. I like that. So this specifically, I think hiring for specificity on a per project basis, if you're looking for something that's general, fine. But if you're looking for something this specific, I really like the specificity of this. So I go down, I look at the reviews. Everybody was saying like, hey, it's great, 5 out of 5. YouTube thumbnail, right? So all that was great. And then it also, I think her sample size was very in line with what we were looking for. These are beautiful thumbnails. This one specifically is really what we do with a featured face, more of like your personal brand type thing. It looks like one, again, similar to that. So I felt like this was a really good fit for us and what we were going for. Many of these I think are beautiful thumbnails. And it's for her, and there was a part that I saw when I was going through that actually proved that 11 point whatever CTR that she referenced, which I think, yeah, here we go. Real-time CTR. Yeah, this is awesome. So I already went through this before, but 11.9 CTR, that's a beautiful thumbnail. It's very similar to what we do. I'm like, this is game time. This is going to really work out for us. So that's what kind of led me to the decision. It probably took me 20 minutes to find this person after I hit end record of part 1. Really not much time thereafter. So our search feature, even manually, not using the AI tool, landed us on a very viable candidate here. So let me show you what she actually came up with. I would say project parameter-wise, I spent maybe 15 minutes. It was really straightforward, and honestly, the conversation was super easy. So she actually guided it really well. Like she was like, hey, can you send me details of a test thumbnail or the test thumbnail? So I sent her what I had material-wise, the video, etc. And then I gave her some examples. She said, which ones have done well? Which I thought was a great question. What style has done well in your channel? So I pulled the top 5 CTR. We actually have those cataloged anyways on a Google Sheet, which I recommend, by the way. Pulling your top winners and always be perfecting your CTR. Again, you just need people watching your stuff, right? And those specific videos. So she did some research. She pulled one that I think she felt was going to work best for us, which is a good thumbnail, but you can see it's not as crispy as the stuff that she's doing. And so I like this thumbnail. I would give it a pretty good grade. But compared to the stuff that she's doing, you can see the difference where this is really crispy. And I think this really pops. It looks, you can see a difference. You just can, right? So then once we agreed that this was going to be one to model, she came back and this is what she came up with, which I think really looks great. Again, that crispy nature of what I was looking for. Also, I love the interchanging yellow that she used here. I thought the visual presentation was really great. I think she brought a lot of attention to the specific Trello board here that we had going on with the arrow. I thought that was great for that specific Trello board that we're talking about. So all that to say, I was very pleased, and I didn't even ask for an amendment. I'm like, I don't even know what I'd tell you to amend. I think it looks great. So I don't know if she used AI. Candidly, there's some, like, we zoomed in and it was like, wait a minute. Kim's teeth, bottom row, look a little funky. That's not what her teeth actually look like. So I don't know if that was just a weird glare or if there was some AI enhancement here. I don't think anybody's going to notice that anyways, but it does look like it might have been AI enhanced. Again, if that's something you care about, great. If it's not, then roll with it. But to me, this was a great image. It's a great thumbnail. When I back out of it, I always do the eyeball test where I'll scan, is it something that grabs me? I think it does. I do that on YouTube as well, where I'm scrolling and I'm like, which ones grab me and what are the elements that grab me? And I feel like this is one that'll definitely grab, and I could probably do a follow-up and let you guys know in the future if this actually performed well. But yeah, then we had the whole, like, okay, how do I pay you type deal? And we're having to go through and figure out, like, unable to add time manually. I'm also unable to track time since we already completed the project. It'd be possible for you to change the contract to be a fixed price. Yeah, so I got a little bit of a dilemma here I got to deal with. So again, be careful with that. That was probably a pilot user error on my end. But again, that was a little bit confusing. And it has been some years, I'd say probably 3-4 years since we've actually been hiring because we've got a full-time team. I don't have need for it. But that was a little bit of confusion that I'm now going to have to fix. I don't want to have to wait to show you guys a video to find this out, what I have to do that. But anyways, it is a fantastic tool, regardless of my little user error here or confusion on the platform. Just make sure, again, in real time, just showing you like, hey, this is real world. This was a little bit confusing and look out for it. But if you found this video beneficial and you're like, oh my gosh, that would change my life with whether it's a social media post or creating a logo or YouTube thumbnail like this situation, absolutely check out Upwork. Again, it's a tool we've utilized for over 10 years at this point, and we've recommended to probably hundreds of our people, especially for people that aren't like us, where you maybe have an established team, but you're in that in-between season. Maybe it doesn't make sense for you to employ somebody full-time. And so this is a great alternative where you can control your costs on a per project basis. So I definitely recommend. And as a thank you, Upwork has actually included a link below for us specifically. They got some really cool special offers, whether you're new or you're returning to Upwork. If you haven't used it in a while, you've got some special offers below in that link included. While you guys are here, don't forget to this video, hit subscribe for more stuff like this. Hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss future videos like this. And we'll see you guys in the next one.